Some episodes may contain graphic content or sensitive topics, while all episodes will consistently feature offensive language and absurd speculations from two opinionated women on a spiritual journey just trying to figure shit out. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Heather.
And I'm Sharon.
Welcome to Hex Haven.
You know, I just wanted to say something to our listeners, because I know when we first started, we were recording in our friend's recording studio, and then we tried to do it like some Zoom calls, and I just want to apologize to you all for how bad the audio was for a couple episodes, but we think we have it figured out again because now we kind of have our own studio. Yay! We are so appreciative to the opportunity we had using our friend's studio.
Definitely.
But they're relocating. They are more than happy to let us still use their stuff, but they don't know where they're going yet, so they don't know if it's going to be possible, and we don't want to inconvenience them, so we've decided to venture off into our own studio. So that's why you may notice some sound differences, and just bear with us while we figure it out.
Definitely.
We appreciate you, however you're listening, through YouTube, Spotify, Patreon, however. We appreciate you.
Yes. And we're coming into spooky season, so we got a lot of really cool ideas coming to you guys.
Oh gosh,
Super
and it's
excited.
my favorite time of year.
Me too. Today, we're going to talk about some spooky stuff from Wisconsin. I have cryptids. We got some spooky places. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be awesome. I have 3 haunted locations.
Okay.
I'm just going to briefly talk about. It's not really long. I'm a huge fan of Reddit. I love Reddit.
Reddit is fucking cool.
It is a wealth of fucking information.
Side note, have been thinking about creating a Hex Haven Reddit page so that I can just go on and explore.
Oh,
even.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not even necessarily to post or anything like that, but just to see what's out there.
Yeah.
There's so much creepypasta stuff and all that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. But I went on to Reddit to see what people's opinions of the most haunted things in Wisconsin were.
Okay.
And this one came up.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. There were some other things that were vaguely familiar to me, but this one came up several times.
Okay.
Which made me very curious about it.
Yeah.
So this is Summerwind Mansion in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So it's really north.
Land O'Lake.
Borders the little part of Michigan that's not attached to Michigan.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Summerwind Mansion is often regarded as the most haunted location in Wisconsin.
Ooh.
It is arguably the state's most infamous paranormal site, having been featured in several books, such as Haunted Summerwind, and on paranormal TV shows like A Haunting, Season 1, Episode 2.
Huh.
According to legend, the mansion has been plagued by supernatural activity since it was first built in 1916. Its original owner, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Robert Patterson Lamont, is said to have fired his gun at an apparition inside the home.
Wow.
Leaving behind bullet holes still visible in the wood. Could you imagine that?
That's insane.
Just being what the fuck? Just shooting your house up?
Right.
So some of the reported activity includes disembodied voices echoing from empty rooms, doors and windows opening and closing by themselves, sightings of a female apparition, a corpse allegedly found in a closet only to mysteriously disappear. Could you imagine if you were the fucking person that found that? I would need to go to therapy for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah.
The ghost of explorer Jonathan Carver, believed to be searching for a lost land deed supposedly hidden in the foundation.
Wow.
The house was eventually abandoned after the Hinshaw family, who had lived there for just 6 months, reportedly suffered psychological distress. Efforts to renovate the deteriorating mansion in the 1970s were also cut short when workers fled in fear.
Jesus.
In 1988, Summerland was destroyed by fire, officially blamed on a lightning strike, but some believe the blaze was deliberately set to prevent thrill seekers from exploring the cursed ruins. Today, only the stone foundation and a pair of crumbling chimneys remain, a haunting reminder of a mansion's eerie legacy.
Wow.
You know what's crazy? So I looked this up, and houses built that long ago had like a different kind of like shingling on them.
Okay.
It's like grade shingling because it's like weathered, you know?
Yeah.
And when I seen it, I was like, holy shit, that looks like my grandparents' house. The house that they lived in when I was a child, it had no running water. That's how fucking old that house was. And so seeing the shingles, I was like, holy shit, that like looks like my grandparents' house, like how old it was. Like, to the day, like someone still lives in that house to this day, and it still has no running water.
Jesus.
It's some like outdoorsy dude that like living in the road.
Does he have a fucking outhouse?
It has an outhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, it has an outhouse.
That's fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
So, is this house is this what they base the Amityville horror off of?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
The only reason I thought that is because of the the family fled from the house.
Yeah, but I don't think that it is. And maybe I could have did better research.
Do better research. No, we're gonna do the research right fucking now.
Do it now.
Let's do it.
But I don't think it was I feel like that would have came up almost instantly in all the websites and all the information. Because I did reference websites for this. I didn't get my information like out of a book for this.
For sure, I use websites.
And I really feel like it would have been like the starting point. Like, this house is most famously known as the Amityville Horror House. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there wasn't really anyone talking about the history of the house. Like,
right.
It was built in 1916 by the original owner, U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Robert Patterson Lamont. Well, how long did he live in it?
Yeah.
Did he live in it till his death? And then this other family came in that they only lived there for 6 months, and then efforts to renovate the deteriorating mansion in the 70s. That's like 60 years has passed. Like, what went on in those 60 years?
Maybe it was abandoned?
Yeah, and that's why I'm just curious, like, how long did this guy live there?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And when did the second family occupy it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw pictures.
It is not the Amityville Horror House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would have came up, like,
yeah,
instantly in this research.
There, we did our research.
Yeah, good job. Good job. I'm so proud of you. If I had stickers, I would give you one.
I want a fucking gold star sticker.
Yeah. I will invest in some gold stars for you. But yeah, so I just thought it was really interesting that this is considered to be one of the most haunted locations in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never heard of the Summerwind Mansion.
I haven't either, and that's why when I had seen so many people mention it in the Reddit thread, I was like, I need to see what this is.
Yeah. There was one place that I was looking into. It was a Frank Lloyd Wright building, the I think it's called Taliesin.
Uh-huh.
And I almost covered it because Taliesin is a person in, like, you remember when I was looking into Sarah Dwin? She's a Welsh Celtic deity. And I used her for my book because she's a shapeshifter. She is like a black wolf and all that. But her story involves Taliesin. And so I guess Frank Lloyd Wright like built this place based off of that myth. So I thought it was super interesting, but there was like 7 people murdered there and shit.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I'll definitely cover it one day.
Yeah. Because
it was interesting, but it just wasn't. I found so much shit I had a hard time picking.
You know what, I felt like that too. But a lot of things, especially this time of year, I feel like if you Google haunted, it's going to send you to haunted houses. And
for sure.
Like, there's just so much random stuff. And it's always just snippets of information.
Yeah,
like,
it's never like
the full historical story.
I found one really cool site that like They're very upfront about how much information they have on all their stories, because for some they have a lot, and for some they have a little.
Yeah.
But it's the Pine Barren Institute, and
In
it's
Wisconsin?
all about Wisconsin, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so 2 of my stories today are from that website. So this story is about the man-faced pigs of Brussels, Wisconsin. And Brussels, Wisconsin is in Door County.
Okay.
In the quiet farmland of Brussels, Wisconsin, where Belgian roots run deep and the soil remembers everything, there's a legend that never quite died. It's not a ghost, not a cryptid in the traditional sense. It's something stranger, something that watched. They called them the man-faced pigs. The story begins in the late 1800s or early 1900s. No one's really sure anymore. A local farmer, bitter and betrayed, discovered that he'd been cut out of a wealthy relative's will back in Belgium. Enraged, he cursed the town's clergymen, those who had read the will aloud, also those who stood as spiritual gatekeepers. But curses don't always land where you aim them. That night, the farmer's home erupted with chaos. Phantom fiddle music played from nowhere. Furniture levitated and spun as if caught in a dance, and outside, his livestock began to change. Mostly the pigs, their snouts twisted into grotesque human-like faces. Angry, silent, and disturbingly aware. They followed him. Not just around the farm, but throughout town. Always watching. Always present. Their gaze was unbroken, their silence louder than any scream. The farmer, well, he unraveled. Sleep fled, sanity frayed. He confessed his curse to an elderly neighbor who urged him to seek forgiveness from God. He built a small prayer house on his land, and he entered it and begged for mercy. It took him hours, but after some time, he exited, and the pigs were gone. Their faces had returned to normal. The haunting ceased. But the story didn't. That prayer house still stands in Brussels today. A quiet momentum of guilt, transformation, and the strange way that curses echo through time. So, were they real? While no physical evidence remains, locals still whisper. Over the years, there have been scattered reports, mostly from farmers and late-night travelers, of pigs seen in the fields with disturbingly human features. One account from Door County described a pig standing upright against a post, watching from the edge of a cornfield before vanishing into the rows. Whether it's folklore, hallucination, or something older than both, the man-faced pigs remind us not all monsters live in the woods. Some walk amongst us, quiet, watching, waiting.
Holy cow. So people currently think they see the pigs.
Yeah. So, and I talked to my friend Sarah about it, her family has always owned a lake house up there. Mm-hmm. And when I was telling her about it, she's like, I have not heard this story since I was a child.
But she's heard it.
But she has heard it.
Really?
Yeah.
How did she hear it as a child? Like, everyone in her family just kind of knew it?
I think so,
oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, because it's like a timeshare they have up there.
Yeah.
So, like, the whole family goes. But, yeah.
That's crazy.
The man-faced pigs. And, like, so this one came from the Pine Barren Institute. And they definitely said that they, like, could not find anything written down about the guy. The only evidence that remains about the farmer is the prayer house that he built.
So there's no, like, proof that he owned land up there or anything?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Like, all I know for sure is that there's no proof that there was any man-faced pigs way back in the day.
So here's my first thought, like, dude got a little, like...
Little tipsy?
You know? Had a little too strong a drink.
Yeah.
And it's awesome shit, really. You know?
Or he smoked some really good fucking grass.
Yeah. What year?
Late 1800s, early 1900s.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
So it would have been, like, I think Wisconsin became a state in 1849.
Okay. That's crazy. Oh, that's
but,
creepy.
I mean, they do say that, like, if you try to curse another, a lot of times, if you have ill intentions, that shit comes right back.
It comes right back to you, yeah.
Yeah.
When you first just even said the name of it, it made me think of, is it The Hills Have Eyes? Like all those inbred.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it is? The movie
The
The Hills Have Eyes with all the inbred people?
Yeah, and then Wrong Turn is another one.
Oh, that's another one. But yeah, I thought of that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is going to be some weird inbred.
Yeah, the man-faced pigs.
Yeah, that's what I first thought of. I was like, okay, just hear her out.
Bestiality shit.
Yeah, like, see where this goes. It's some creepy shit, but... And my next topic is the Kemper Center in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Do you know anything about...
No, I don't know very much about the Kemper Center.
Okay. So in January of 1900,
Okay.
the body of a nun was found washed up on the lake shore. So this is how the legend goes. Just days earlier, the young sister had been working at Kemper Hall, a Gothic Episcopal boarding school for girls. It was situated on the edge of Lake Michigan.
Okay.
It was once a private residence of U.S. Senator Charles Durkee. The mansion was built in 1861 and transformed into a school in 1865. When it was first built, it was called Durkee Manor.
Wow.
Yep.
You said 1861?
1861. So it was transformed into a school in 1865. So it was only like his private residence for 4 years. And then it was transformed into a school in 1865, complete with new wings, a chapel, and living quarters for both students and nuns.
So he didn't keep it very long then.
No, he kept it 4 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Its dramatic Gothic revival architecture and picturesque grounds made it a local landmark, which the grounds are absolutely beautiful to this day.
Mm-hmm.
The legend tells us of the sister arriving at the school in 1899, fresh from seminary.
Okay.
But something soon went wrong. Her behavior began to change, erratic, disturbed, as if something had taken hold of her. Which makes me laugh because she's a teenage girl. It's probably just her period.
Yeah, that's very true. They're like, she's possessed by the devil.
Right? She's like, no, I just have my period.
Right.
God damn it. Poor girl.
She probably told them to fuck off, and they were like, oh my god!
Right? So the other nuns grew concerned, but not in time to stop what happened next. One night, she threw herself from the rocky shoreline outside Kemper Hall, vanishing into the dark waters below. Days later, school children discovered her lifeless body on the sand.
Oh no.
But the story doesn't end there.
Oh shit.
For more than a century, visitors of what is now known as the Kemper Center have reported eerie encounters. Shadowy figures cloaked in black, gliding down hallways, ghostly shapes vanishing when approached, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Apparitions are often seen through the window or moving along the walls. In the silent corridors, unexplained footsteps echo from nowhere.
Wow.
And the tales go beyond the drowning nun. Some speak of a sister who fell to her death down the observatory's spiral staircase, or a teen student who leapt from the roof. In 1996, a local fiction writer captured a photo of the mansion's exterior only to discover strange, unnatural shapes in the windows. He claimed he had photographed ghosts.
Wow.
Though no longer a school, Kemper Center now serves as a historic site, hosting community arts events, weddings, and years ago, a haunted house operated there. The grounds are open to the public. I can tell you, I absolutely 100% know this is haunted.
Yeah.
Because I have experienced it. But I'm going to save that story for our Patreon listeners. So,
okay.
Yep, if you want to hear my ghost encounter story, then you're going to have to become a Patreon subscriber.
There you go.
All right.
You heard it here.
You heard it here.
This one is a long one.
Oh, boy. Okay.
So this one's kind of a two-part. It's the original lore and then the more recent lore. Okay? So I'm going to do it a little bit in two parts.
Okay.
We're going to start with the old lore.
Okay.
This is an interesting one. It's called Death Song Cave. And it's somewhere near Gotham, Wisconsin. But it's also, like, never actually been found. So this is a big possible spooky place in Wisconsin.
Wait.
Just bear with me. So
Where is Gotham, Wisconsin?
it was called something else originally.
Oh, I think it's west.
Richland County, right?
I don't know that.
I think I say something about it in here.
Okay.
We'll see.
I'm just trying to picture where
we're talking.
Yeah.
In the shadowed bluff near Gotham, Wisconsin, where the land folds in on itself and the river carves secrets into stone, there's a place the Winnebago people once feared so deeply that they tried to erase it from memory entirely. It was called the Death Song Cave. The legend begins long before settlers arrived, though its true origin has been lost to time. 2 young boys from the Winnebago tribe went out hunting deer. They were skilled and they were familiar with the land, but still, they disappeared. Never seen again. After 2 days, the chief Great Eagle sent 10 of his finest warriors to track them. These were men who could read a broken twig like a map. They followed the trail through thick forest down into a ravine until it stopped at the mouth of a cave. It appeared that the boys had entered, but there was no sign that they'd ever come back out. So 2 of the warriors volunteered to go in. Brave and steady, they stepped into the dark and the cave swallowed them whole. Hours passed. The others waited, but the men never returned. And then came the sound. A melody, soft, mournful, drifting out of the cave like smoke. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a voice. It was something older, something that didn't belong in this world. They called it the Death Song. It was reported that it sounded like a bunch of people in agony, all at once.
Oh, so like almost like screaming, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 more warriors entered, determined and armed, and like the others, they vanished as well. The song returned, louder this time, as if the cave were singing in triumph. Only 2 men remained, and instead of going in, they ran back to camp. Breathless and shaken, they told Great Eagle, "This cave is not of this world." So the next day, the chief returned with 100 men. They came with torches, weapons, and a plan. They would enter as a human chain, hands clasped so no one could be taken alone. They stepped into the cave. And one by one, the chain broke. The first man vanished, then the second, then the third. Like falling dominoes, each link disappeared as soon as it hit the darkness. The survivors fled. Eventually they caught on.
Yeah.
And once again, the death song rose from the cave, taunting, triumphant, and louder than ever. Great Eagle decided to try one last time. A lone warrior, tied with a rope, and if he tugged, everybody else would pull him back out. The rope slid through their hands, and then after a short time, it became limp. They pulled the rope back, but it came out empty. The knot was still intact. The cave had claimed him too. The chief declared that this cave was forbidden. No one was to enter. No one was to speak of it. But the song lingered, haunting the air like a memory that refused to die. Weeks passed, and then one day, 2 strangers came walking out of the woods and arrived at the Winnebago tribe. An impossibly old man, blind, pale, with hair like snow, and a young boy who looked eerily familiar. He resembled one of the missing hunters, though he swore up and down that he was not. They spoke in a language that no one understood, but the boy translated. When told of the cave, the old man grew solemn. "Lead him to this cave," the boy said, and the entire village followed. At the cave's mouth, Chief Great Eagle was trying to explain to the old man everything that had happened with the cave, but he just raised his hand. He and the boy entered alone. Great Chief stood in front of the mouse cave, and the death song began again, louder than ever, as if the cave itself was resisting something, but Chief Great Eagle would not be moved. And then, silence. But the strangers emerged. Wordless, they walked to the river, stepped into a canoe, and drifted away. And they were never seen again.
What?
The tribe called the old man the Great Healer. So some years passed, and the cave remained untouched. Until one day, a brave warrior dared to enter. 2 others that had been with him held their breath, expecting to hear the horrid song again. But after some time, the warrior reemerged. And then one of his companions accompanied him back inside the cave. They crawled deep into the earth through narrowing stone until the ceiling finally began to rise and reveal a vast chamber. They lit torches, and what they saw was skeletons. Hundreds, all in perfect rows, face down, arms outstretched, and at the front, a massive stone throne carved into the wall. Whatever sat in the throne before was nowhere to be seen. These men fled, not willing to chance the throne's occupant might return. Chief Great Eagle declared the cave the dwelling of a great evil spirit. The entrance was sealed, and the location was erased. The story was buried. But legends don't die, they wait. And in 1848, when Wisconsin became a state, the cave began to whisper again.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Jeepers Creepers. Do you remember Jeepers Creepers where he slid down that hole and it was all those bodies?
Yes.
That's what I'm picturing right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's insane.
This is crazy.
So that was the first part of the lore.
And then a Game of Thrones type throne is what I'm picturing.
For sure, right?
You know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was like, that shit is creepy.
That is super creepy. When you said that with the bodies, I had like goosebumps.
Yeah. Now that we've gone through the original legend, we can begin on the modern day part of the story that has carried the cave into the minds of Wisconsinites today. I'll take you now to the time of 1848, when Isaac Wallace and Garwood Green were making preparations to purchase land for development into Richland City. The 33-block city quickly became a busy location for settlers along the Wisconsin River, which, unrelated to this story, apparently Richland is no longer a city in Wisconsin. The river washed away the shorelines, taking the majority of the town with it in the 1860s.
Really? I feel like, isn't that name familiar to you? Like
Richland County. There's a Richland County.
Okay.
But there's not a Richland City anymore, apparently.
Oh, that would make sense then. I'm like, okay. All right.
Yeah. But in its early days, Richland City attracted an influx of German immigrants, including 21-year-old Paul Seifert, is how I think you say it. But again, please don't come for me.
Right.
I did not
Damn
know
it.
the
Do better
pronunciation.
research.
Yeah. But by 1880, Paul was married with children, and he had purchased 60 acres of land in the area.
Holy shit, that's a lot of fucking land.
It is. It's a good chunk, for sure.
A good chunk. That's like, gosh. That's
my grandparents have 40, and I think that's huge.
That's huge. An acre is huge.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But anyway, so Paul would spend his days searching his land for Native American artifacts, and he made money by selling them to local collectors throughout Wisconsin. It was bringing him in a lot of money, so he began searching new pockets for deposits of artifacts. And during one of these explorations, he came across the Death Song Cave. In 1900, a man from Vienna, Austria, wrote a letter to the Vienna Courier, which was a newspaper, and this letter was later republished into the Milwaukee newspaper.
What?
In the letter, the man talks of traveling to Gotham City in Richland County to visit his old friend Paul Seigert. He'd come to explore a cave from which artifacts had been found by Paul and sent to him in Vienna. The author of the letter talks of how Paul led him down the Wisconsin River, and after some time, the pair arrived at the base of Bogus Bluff. From there, they hiked over 2 miles into thick wooded areas with narrow paths and deep ravines. They eventually arrived at a ledge where they rappelled down onto a much narrower ledge. When they reached the lower ledge, they stood before a tight crevice leading into the hillside. So they had pretty much rappelled down a bluff.
Wow.
So after traveling deep into the cave, they eventually came out into a room where they could stand. The writer of the letter said that the floor was covered with the bones of countless skeletons, some of them adorned with artifacts of a people who had long since disappeared from the area. He claimed to see stone axes, pottery, spears, arrows, and torches. And then came the sound. The writer described it as, quote, the howling of a lot of maniacs and the moaning of the dying under torture.
Wow.
The author of the letter was terrified, but Paul, he just continued forward into the darkness towards another passage, claiming that the sound was merely running water in the howling wind.
Which, okay.
Could be, for
He
sure.
was skeptic.
Valid.
Yeah.
So, in the second chamber, it was also filled with skeletons, and the author of the letter became terrified. He said he begged Paul to take him back, and after some convincing, he agreed and began to guide him back, but the author noticed a curious sight. There was a skeleton of a young girl, and around her neck, a necklace made of many different colored quartz discs with copper banding. He said it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He reached to grab it and claim it as his own, but before he could grasp it, Paul grabbed his hand and said, quote, she lived centuries ago, and she died so young. She was only a child, and she must have been proud of that necklace. Let her keep it.
Okay.
The pair then exited the cave and went to have dinner with Paul's wife, and the next day the man headed back home to Vienna. Paul went on to excavate and sell many of the relics from the cave to both public and private collectors, museums and researchers in the U.S., Austria, and Germany, but he never showed anyone else where the cave was. When asked about it, he'd say the place needed to be kept safe. The cave was his secret until he died in 1921, when this letter began to circulate in the papers.
What?
So since then, many visitors have gone in search of Death Song Cave. The area has been scoured repeatedly, yet the cave has remained hidden.
I mean, they're crawling into like a small space, right?
Yeah,
and
so
crawling
it
down.
gets
So
in the
it could be filled by now.
on the Pine Barren Institute post, they said that even in the original lore, the people that went back into the cave, they had to crawl, like they were basically on their bellies, dragging themselves through this cavern before they got to the room where the throne was.
I don't understand if you have to crawl like that to get somewhere, why are you even going?
Because people are curious.
Maybe I'm claustrophobic and I don't know it, but I would
people,
never.
People go spelunking all the time. People die because they get caught in cave crevices just like that.
That's so stupid.
It would never be worth it to me.
No.
For sure. But like people are thrill seekers, man, and some people it's worth it.
If there was some howling noise coming out of it, I wouldn't be like,
God.
Yep, let me just belly crawl in here and possibly get stuck in the dark.
Right. I would already be too scared. Like
So I'm wondering how in the first story it said they went in hand.
Yes, and disappeared.
But if they're crawling in, how are they hand in hand?
So when they were disappearing, they weren't able to get that far in. The dude who went back and actually found the throne and stuff, that was after the old man had gone into the cave and he did something that created a massive death song to come out of it, and then he walked back out and left.
Oh.
So whatever was in that cave, from what I'm getting from the story, the old man took care of it and it was gone. So now you can go into the cave and explore it.
Yeah, but now the opening's bigger?
So it's open to begin with, but it just gets narrower. You know,
okay.
like there's a lot of caves like that where it's you might be able to get into the cave,
so you
but
can initially
probably
get in
can't
it,
get any
but
further.
then you have to crawl to get further, and then it opens back up
so
again.
It's like the walls will start
I've
to
seen
narrow.
plenty of horror flicks about caves and shit like that.
Oh yeah,
Where this is why I know better.
Yes,
to do something like that.
Exactly.
You're not going to catch me rock climbing in a cave.
No, man.
Fuck that.
Spelunking is not for me. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. I don't think it should be for anyone. But
so the validity of this story is widely debated. The author of the letter that was published in 2 fucking newspapers has never been found. Never been identified. There were some inconsistencies in the author's claims. Nobody is sure how it got sent to the Milwaukee newspaper to begin with. So that's part of the issue. The other thing is other friends of Paul claim that he would have never kept a cave like that's location a secret. And that he was always upfront about where his artifacts were located, and they did note that like historical logs of his excavations are available. I did not look into them personally, but they are available publicly. And then finally, Paul's daughter stated that she didn't know anything about a secret cave, nor could she remember a visitor such as the one described in the letter by the unknown author.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
But regardless of the legend being debunked, technically, Death Song Cave still lives on in whispers, and it is still discussed by many magazines and newspapers as a paranormal location. So why is it still believed? Well, I think that part is kind of simple. People want to believe. It brings excitement to consider something otherworldly or unexplainable. As humans, we're drawn to adventure and danger. We may never know who penned the letter about Paul Seifert's descent into the cave or why he became the anchor for such a chilling tale. We may never confirm whether Death Song Cave truly exists, or if the legend of Great Eagle and his vanished warriors is rooted in fact or folklore. But maybe that's the point. Some stories aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to be felt. They live in the spaces between truth and myth, reminding us that mystery has its own kind of power. In a world that often demands certainty, perhaps it's the unanswered questions, the ones that echo like the song through the stone, that keep us curious, connected, and just a little enchanted. Because when the mystery ends, the adventure does too.
Okay.
And that's what I got on that.
So, no one knows where it is, but they still say it's still haunted.
No one knows where it is, but they still say it's real.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I am one of those people who wants to believe that it's real.
Right.
But I also don't want to visit it.
No.
I'd be too scared to visit it.
I wouldn't want to visit it. There's no way. No way.
But I don't know. Something about it. I want it to be real. I think it's just because I'm a spooky bitch.
Right. Yeah. Which is understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the story of Death Song Cave.
I've never heard of that either.
Right? I had never heard of it either. That's why I was like, I'm covering this.
Yeah.
I know it was a longer one, but I was like,
I love it.
This is a good one.
I love it. Do you know anything about the Phister Hotel in Milwaukee?
I have heard that the Phister is haunted.
Yeah.
And I have stayed at the Phister, but
I
I
have
was a
too.
child.
Okay.
And I don't remember too much of it. I was definitely like a young child.
Okay. I stayed as an adult.
Okay.
I probably stayed there 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So pretty recent.
Yeah.
So the Phister Hotel, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was opened in 1893, and at that time it cost $1 million. So could you imagine what it's worth?
Jeez.
Now? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Phister Hotel was designed to be the Grand Hotel of the West. Since then, it has remained a cornerstone of downtown Milwaukee, renowned for its elegant style and exceptional service, welcoming guests from around the world. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, the hotel had fallen into decline until it was purchased by entrepreneur Ben Marcus, who was committed to restoring it to its former grandeur.
Ooh, okay.
Extensive renovations followed, including the addition of a 23-story guest tower, bringing new life and modern amenities to the historic landmark.
Wow.
Over the decades, the Phister has hosted presidents, dignitaries, world-renowned musicians, which a lot of musicians that played at Summerfest would stay there.
Oh, yeah.
Because our friend that we found at the Phister would stay there often too.
Okay.
And he would always be like, oh yeah, I saw so-and-so. And we would constantly be like, yeah, okay, bullshit.
Yeah.
But then we realized like, oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Like, really? Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, world-renowned musicians and Hollywood icons stayed there. Today, it stands as Wisconsin's most historic hotel, proudly recognized by Preferred Hotels and Resorts Worldwide and Historic Hotels of America, a program of the National Trust of Historic Preservation.
Wow.
It is also a consistent recipient of the AAA 4 Diamond Award.
That sounds like something fancy.
This is some classy ass shit.
Pinkies up, bitches.
So I'm telling you, some drunk ass girls rolling in from Summerfest where they're rocking out to Pat Benatar did not belong in there. I'm telling you, like the smell changed when you got in there. The acoustics changed.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck? Am I tripping?
Entered into a new universe.
Yeah, it was wild. So the Phister offers luxurious smoke-free accommodations. It has 307 rooms, blending
That's more than I thought.
Yeah, it has a lot. Blending timeless charm with modern comforts. Many rooms feature stunning views of Lake Michigan and the Milwaukee skyline. The hotel has 82 suites that are designed for elevated comfort. They feature like wet bar sitting rooms and stylish furnishing. The king suites that are located in the historical section of the hotel include like a separate parlor and a pull-out sofa. So in the historic part of the hotel is these huge bougie suites.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that's where when I actually stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed in the historic side, and you walked in, and there was like a parlor, and then the bathroom was huge. There was it was huge, and then there was this big king bed.
That's crazy.
And so more of like the double rooms are in the tower.
Okay.
The majority of the sightings at the Phister Hotel. Can you guess who reports the majority of the sightings?
Is it people who work there?
Nope. So I was like, really? But it makes sense. So many baseball players have reported eerie experiences at the hotel.
Baseball players?
Because when teams come to play the Brewers, they stay in that hotel.
Yeah, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, and I don't know now. They might have tour buses where they go home right away, but I don't know how they travel.
I think it depends where they're coming from.
Ranging from unexplained noises and flickering lights to malfunctioning electronics and objects mysteriously shipping in rooms. So it's actually like if you go on the MLB site, it talks about all the different ball players and their experiences.
Oh my gosh.
What each one had at the Phister Hotel. And I was like, holy shit.
That is insane.
That's crazy, right? Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of evidence.
But yeah, staff does see things, experience things, guests occasionally do, but it's mostly reported by baseball players.
Maybe whatever is haunting the Phister has a thing for baseball players.
Maybe. Who would?
It's them tight little shorts.
I know.
Tight little pants, man.
Those pants are fucking adorable. Gosh.
This story is about the Mineral Point Vampire, which I have never heard of.
Vampires in Wisconsin?
Yes.
All right.
So.
Fang banger.
Fang bangers. True blood. Okay. So nestled into the rolling hills of southern Wisconsin, Mineral Point is a town built on stone, sweat, and superstition. Its foundations were laid by Cornish miners in the 1800s. Men who carved homes into limestone and brought with them not just their tools, but their folklore. They spoke of piskies, goblin-like creatures who would swap their own children with human infants.
Oh.
And Tommyknockers, mischievous spirits who live deep underground. If you respected them, they'd protect you. If you didn't, well, you might find more than just lead in the dark. So, the town's haunted history doesn't end with mining myths. There's also the Ridgeway Ghost, which is said to appear every 40 years, an echo of deadly bar fight that refuses to fade. And then there's the Walker House, where the spirit of William Caffey, who was hanged for murder in 1942, is rumored to linger despite official denials.
Whoa.
And then there's a werewolf. In 1987, on a bright spring afternoon, nearly 20 people claimed to have witnessed a creature sprinting into a building, only to watch them transform back into a man. The story was passed to researcher Linda Godfrey, and it remains one of Wisconsin's strangest daylight sightings.
Oh.
I've never heard of that one either.
No.
But among all of Mineral Point's spectral tales, one stands out for its sheer strangeness. A figure that doesn't nearly fit into ghost lore, cryptid sightings, or even werewolf mythology. A creature that walks like a man, but moves like something else. This is the legend of the Mineral Point Vampire. Dun, dun, dun. The legend begins in the good old days of 1981, when big hair, shoulder pads, and Queen ruled the world.
Hell yeah.
On March 14th, Mineral Point police officer John Pepper was patrolling Graceland Cemetery, where they'd had ongoing reports of hoodlums and vandals.
Fucking hoodlums.
Right? He shone his light amongst the headstones when suddenly a large dark figure emerged in the light. The officer described the figure as a huge person wearing a black cape with a white painted face. His most descriptive comment, quote, about 6'5" and ugly.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a small town officer trying to do his job. He made to approach the figure and interrogate him about his intentions. But in response, the man took off. Sergeant Peppers gave chase until they reached the end of the cemetery, at which time the strange figure leapt over a 4-foot fence and vanished into the darkness of a nearby bull pasture.
Wow.
Yeah. So Mr. Pepper went back to round up his cat buddies and came back to investigate the next day, but they did not find any damage or vandalism. But they did find footprints that were in the snow, and that they went straight up to the fence. But the strangest part was that they did not come across any tracks in the snow on the other side of the fence. It was as if the late-night Dracula had simply turned into a bat and disappeared.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So Officer Pepper did not buy into the claims that this was a vampire. Instead, he felt it was someone who was mentally unwell. But regardless, the community was small, and we all know how fast rumors spread in a small town.
Sure.
So, in the following weeks, the community saw a wave of pranksters dressed up like Dracula. They'd jump out of the shadows at unexpected people as they walked by. Police chief reported to the Wisconsin State Journal that he couldn't get his officers to go back to the cemetery and patrol at night going forward. So then, this mysterious figure goes quiet for some time, and we jump to 2004 in March.
Oh, okay, like 20 years later?
Yep. At about 9 p.m., calls from residents at an apartment complex began to come in to the MPPD. Multiple residents were reporting being heckled by a person sitting in a tree outside the building. And can I just say that how much I like the word heckled?
Yes, it is a very enjoyable word for sure. I totally agree.
So can you guess the description of the heckler? A pale figure dressed in dark, old-fashioned clothing with a cape. So when the officers arrived on the scene, the suspect was still there. And he jumped out of the tree and ran off into the night again, leaving tracks in fresh snow. The officers gave chase, but they lost him, and they followed the tracks, but the tracks ended at a 10-foot-high cement wall. Once again, he was gone without a trace.
Huh.
So that was 2004. Then, in 2008, the Mineral Point vampire decided to make its next appearance in July of 2008. There's a couple, Brandon Hines and his girlfriend Jamie Marker. They were fishing off of a jetty on the west shore of the lake when they heard some strange noises. And a jetty, I looked it up, it's like a structure that's built in a body of water to like stop the waves from crashing into the shore, usually for like to stop erosion and shit like that.
Okay.
It could be made of wood or metal or rocks. Like, it made me think of like out in Lake Michigan where they have the rocks that go way out and like it's a little bit calmer inside,
sure.
you know?
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're out there fishing when they start hearing strange noises. So they said it sounded like somebody climbing along the wooden structure of the jetty. When Brandon shone his flashlight down to the other side, they heard splashing noises and they saw something moving towards them.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. They described it as a pale-faced figure with dark hair pulling itself along the jetty, kind of crawling. They said it was wearing some sort of Dracula-looking cape or suit, sort of. And that's a quote.
Wow. Okay.
Slowly, the figure rises to its feet, while Hines and Marker stand frozen in place, fear filling their minds. But after a few seconds, instincts kicked in, and Marker took off running down the path towards the car. Hines, who was still holding the flashlight on the creature, threw the flashlight and then ran after his girlfriend. Marker says she made the mistake of looking back at the creature and she screamed as she saw it barreling after them. They reached the vehicle and they sped off and then immediately alerted the police. Officers went to search the area, but the creature was already gone. Hines and Marker returned the next day to retrieve their fishing gear. Everything was still there, undisturbed, except for the flashlight, which was missing. Hines noted that whatever had chased them off could keep his flashlight for all he cared.
Right?
Yeah, and that's it.
Holy cow.
So those are the 3 recorded, true, I guess, like, verifiable encounters with the Mineral Point vampire.
So, I mean, like, I get that history has a painted picture of a vampire with a cape and I want to suck your blood.
Yeah.
You know, very Dracula.
Uh-huh.
But we know it as, you know, fucking Twilight and, you know.
Twilight will never be real vampires. It's Buffy.
Or Buffy or True Blood. You know, we know more.
Buffy, True Blood. I can
more
get down
Hollywood
with those guys.
type.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
do you think he'd really in 2008 still have a cape? What do you need the cape for?
I don't know. I don't know if vampires are real.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I got my suspicions.
I don't know.
But I don't know. I mean, it's strange that, especially with the 2004 occurrence, like, there was so many people.
Yeah, but it could have been some, like, teenage kid in a tree where they're like, this fucking annoying ass kid is, like, spooking people.
Yeah, but then the cops went there to chase him.
But here's the
and
thing.
And he disappeared over a 10-foot
Maybe it was
wall.
like a chubby cop and he couldn't
Maybe
chase
he was
him very...
Kukulon.
Maybe he was Kukulon. But, Choo-Choo Lane. Maybe.
Choo-Choo Lane.
Choo-Choo Lane. You know, maybe they seriously just lost him.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Well, and so I was thinking when I was reading through it, this one came from WisconsinFrights.com. And I was thinking when I was reading through it that, like, I don't know, I kind of feel like it's just all too, like, original thoughts of what a vampire is supposed to look like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just strange that there's so many people that have...
It is, but it makes me think that it was some kid in a costume, like on a dare.
Yeah, that could be.
You know, versus, I feel like if there was legit vampires, I feel like they would not be in a traditional cape. I
don't. If there are vampires...
Would they be in normal clothing?
I don't know.
Only
way that they would last this long undiscovered is to not be the kind of vampires that we think of, where they just drain people and kill people constantly. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It would have to be that they, like, drink a little bit of blood. Maybe even, like, they can erase your memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way for them to stay hidden this long, you know? Because people have been talking about vampires for hundreds of years now.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't see Dracula wearing a cape in 2025.
No, I don't. And
He's
I just
probably
feel
wearing,
and to me, like, if there was really such a thing as a vampire, I don't picture it like wearing a suit and tie or clothing. No. I feel like it would probably be kind of bony, like linky kind of creature, I guess. You know?
I don't know. I think that they might just look like regular people.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that also is probably because of the TV shows that I like and that
Right.
I've watched growing up, you know?
Right.
But there is a place in New Orleans that is proclaimed is a vampire bar.
Yeah, but I want to so bad believe in it.
I know.
But it's probably just a bunch of, I don't want to use the word weird, but
it's a bunch of fangbangers.
It's just a bunch of fangbangers, you know? But it's just...
They're LARPing.
Yes. It's a bunch of, like, LARPing, for sure. I don't think you can really go there and meet a real vampire. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Maybe you can. Or it's some dude that lives in his mom's basement and pretends like he drinks blood to impress girls because he's a fucking goth dude. I don't know.
Yeah, so I didn't write this part down, but there is this other part to this article. I didn't include it because I wasn't really sure how it was connected.
Okay.
But it seems like they're trying to maybe claim that this dude's family is somehow linked to the Mineral Point vampire. His name is Vincent Price.
Oh, Vincent Price.
Yes, so I guess his family lived up in Mineral Point.
Really?
And let's see, what does it say here?
He's known for...
So his great-grandfather was named George Cobb, and he was a well-known local merchant, and he was a superintendent at the Mineral Point Railroad. Cobb's office remains preserved at the Mineral Point Railroad Museum. The Cobb family home still stands on Cawthorn Street beside the elementary school, and the family also donated several stained glass windows to the town's Trinity Episcopal Church. Although Price never lived in or even visited Mineral Point, he made a significant donation to the church in 1962 to repair its organ, which he initially dedicated to the memory of his great-aunt Laura Antoinette Cobb.
Aww.
In 1983, while Price was lecturing at UW-Madison, he responded to a letter from a curator of the Mineral Point archives, writing, "I have heard all about Mineral Point from my mother and father, but being the last of 4 children, it was rather far removed, and I remember little of the tales except for Shakarag Street," which I don't know what happened on Shakarag Street.
I don't know.
But it says that like his ancestors are still buried in Graceland Cemetery, and it seems like they're trying to allude to maybe Vincent Price being the Mineral Point vampire.
Like, he's an iconic actor.
Yeah.
He played in, like, horror movies.
Oh, yeah. He's called the Master of Horror.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember he was in, like, House of Wax, but he's also very iconic. He is the voice in the Michael Jackson Thriller movie. At the beginning, does the narration.
Oh!
I don't remember, like, what it says, like, on a night. I don't know what it says.
I know, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but
yeah,
that
that is his voice.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I never knew that. That's fucking cool.
And in Edward Scissorhands, he's Edward's inventor.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that shit about Thriller.
Yeah, the Thriller. Yeah, I don't know what the beginning voice, but you know how it talks first before
It's got like the creepy laugh, and then he says like a whole little monologue.
Yeah, that's his voice. Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
All right,
and that's it. That was the spooky Wisconsin.
That was awesome. Yeah, well, I hope you all liked it. We had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, super fun. And we got lots more spooky stuff coming at you.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, if we didn't say it already, we're from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The Midwest is the best.
Yeah. Wisconsin full life.
Yo, yo, yo.
We got Quick Trip headquarters over here.
Oh, yeah, dear. We love our Quick Trips.
All right. If you guys have any questions or if there's any other cool Wisconsin stories that you'd like to hear us cover, you can send it to hexhavenpodcast@gmail.com.
And don't forget to subscribe to
Patreon.
Patreon.
And all the socials.
Follow us on all the socials. We love you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.